What if I told you that Inter Milan's new €1.2 billion stadium project might be the most complex case study in modern football finance you've never heard about? Today, I'm breaking down everything you need to know about this massive project, the official numbers, the hidden risks, and why this could fundamentally change how we think about club ownership in European football. Let me walk you through the official details first, because understanding the scope of this project is crucial. Inter Milan is planning to build a brand new 70,000-seat stadium in San Donato Milanese, about 15 kilometers southeast of Milan city center. The financial breakdown is fascinating. €700 million allocated specifically for the stadium construction, and another €500 million dedicated to surrounding infrastructure. We're talking roads, public transport connections, utilities, the works. This isn't just a stadium, it's a complete urban development project. Why are they doing this? Well, the current San Siro situation is unsustainable. Built in 1926 and renovated multiple times, it's shared with AC Milan, which creates scheduling conflicts and limits both clubs' revenue potential. More importantly, San Siro's infrastructure is aging and doesn't meet modern commercial standards. The new stadium is designed with revenue generation as the primary focus. We're looking at modern hospitality suites, VIP boxes, premium seating areas, retail spaces, restaurants, all the amenities that turn a stadium from just a football venue into a year-round entertainment destination. The projected numbers are impressive. Inter expects this facility to generate between 85 and €120 million in additional annual revenue compared to what they earn at San Siro. For context, that's potentially doubling their stadium-related income, which is crucial for UEFA financial fair play compliance and competing with Europe's elite clubs. The timeline is ambitious but realistic by modern stadium standards. Construction is projected to begin in 2025, with completion targeted for 2028 or 2029. That's a 4-year construction window, which aligns with similar projects like Tottenham's new stadium. Now here's where the story becomes really interesting from a financial perspective. The project is being financed primarily through debt by Inter's current owners, Oaktree Capital Management. This isn't unusual in major infrastructure projects, but it raises important questions about risk allocation and long-term sustainability. Oaktree acquired Inter in 2024 after the previous Chinese owners, Suning Holdings, faced financial difficulties. As a private equity firm specializing in distressed debt, Oaktree's involvement brings a different approach to football club ownership compared to traditional models. The financing structure means Inter will essentially be mortgaging future stadium revenues and club assets to fund construction. This creates what economists call a leverage amplification effect. The club's revenue potential increases significantly, but so does its financial risk if those projections don't materialize. There's also the location factor to consider. San Donato Milanese offers several advantages: available land, better transportation links to the broader Lombardy region, and fewer urban planning restrictions. However, it also means Inter will be leaving the San Siro district, which has been synonymous with Milanese football for nearly a century. The fan response has been mixed, and this highlights an important tension in modern football. Traditional supporters, particularly the ultras groups like Curva Nord, view this move as prioritizing commercial interests over historical connection. They argue that San Siro isn't just a venue but a cultural landmark that defines the club's identity. Here's what makes this project particularly fascinating from a business perspective. It represents a fundamental shift in how football clubs approach asset ownership and financial risk. Traditional football club ownership involved buying an existing club with existing assets. What Oaktree is doing is different. They're essentially creating a new asset class by combining a football club with a major real estate development project. The stadium becomes both a sporting venue and a significant property investment. This model has implications that extend far beyond Inter Milan. If successful, it could become a template for how private equity firms approach football investments. The club provides brand recognition and revenue streams, while the stadium development provides tangible asset security. However, this approach also introduces new types of risk. Stadium construction projects are notoriously prone to cost overruns and delays. Major examples include Wembley Stadium, which went 60% over budget, and Berlin's Brandenburg Airport, which took 14 years to complete instead of the planned 6. For Inter specifically, the risk calculation is complex. Serie A's financial landscape has been volatile, with several clubs facing significant economic challenges in recent years. The league's revenue distribution is less favorable than the Premier League or La Liga, which means clubs have smaller margins for error when servicing large debts. There's also the competitive risk to consider. Football success drives revenue, but success is unpredictable. If Inter experiences a period of poor performance while servicing stadium debt, the financial pressure could compound quickly. The naming rights component adds another layer of complexity. Inter needs to secure a naming sponsor paying 30+ million euros annually to make the financial model work. In today's corporate environment, such deals require long-term partnerships with major multinational companies, which introduces dependency on external business relationships. The timeline challenges deserve serious consideration. Italian bureaucracy and environmental regulations are comprehensive, which can extend approval processes significantly. The project requires coordination between multiple government levels, municipal, regional, and national, each with different priorities and approval cycles. Environmental impact assessments for projects of this magnitude typically take 12 to 18 months alone. Then you have infrastructure coordination with regional transportation authorities, utility companies, and urban planning departments. The 2025 construction start date assumes all these processes align perfectly, which historically has been challenging in major Italian infrastructure projects. There's also the broader context of stadium development in Serie A. Juventus Stadium, completed in 2011, is often cited as the success model. It increased Juventus's revenue significantly and provided a template for modern Italian stadium development. However, Juventus had different ownership structure and financial position when they undertook their project. The relationship with AC Milan adds another interesting dimension. Both clubs leaving San Siro simultaneously would end nearly a century of shared history, but it also eliminates the complications of joint ownership and scheduling conflicts. Milan's separate stadium project means both clubs can optimize their facilities for their specific needs and revenue models. What we're examining with Inter Milan's stadium project is essentially a case study in modern sports finance and private equity involvement in football. This project represents several significant trends converging simultaneously. First, the increasing importance of stadium revenue in football's financial ecosystem. UEFA's financial fair play regulations make stadium-generated income crucial for competing at the highest level. Clubs can no longer rely solely on external investment. They need sustainable revenue streams. Second, the role of private equity in sports ownership. Oaktree's approach combines traditional private equity strategies with sports asset management. This could become a model for future acquisitions if successful, or a cautionary tale if the financial projections don't materialize. Third, the tension between sporting tradition and commercial necessity. Inter Milan was founded in 1908 and has deep cultural connections to Milan and San Siro. The stadium move represents a fundamental question facing many traditional clubs. How do you balance historical identity with financial viability? The success or failure of this project will likely influence how other clubs and investors approach similar situations. If Inter's new stadium generates the projected revenue increases while maintaining fan support, it validates the model. If construction delays, cost overruns, or revenue shortfalls occur, it could make investors more cautious about stadium-centered acquisition strategies. For football fans more broadly, this project represents the ongoing evolution of the sports business model. Understanding these financial dynamics helps explain many decisions that might otherwise seem purely sporting or traditional. Whether you view this as innovative sports business strategy or concerning financialization of football probably depends on your perspective on modern football's direction. What's undeniable is that projects like this will shape how football clubs operate in the coming decades. The Inter Milan Stadium project deserves attention not just as a sporting story, but as a window into how private equity, urban development, and sports entertainment are increasingly interconnected. What's your take on private equity ownership in football? Do projects like this represent necessary modernization or fundamental changes to the sport's character? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more analysis of the business side of football.